Imagine living your life after 50 and feeling energized and excited about your future. Welcome to the Women in the Middle podcast, the podcast for women who are ready to figure out what they want and create the life they deserve. Here's your host and master certified life coach, Susie Rosenstein.
Hey there, welcome back to the podcast, Women in the Middle. I'm your host, Susie Rosenstein, your master certified coach and midlife mentor, and I'm so glad to be here with you again for this week's episode, which is all about the very real and weird experience of time warp in midlife. I'm sure you've noticed there's something strange going on with your time perception these days. Sometimes it feels like time is flying, sometimes not so much. Sometimes your thoughts about the passage of time surprise you. And of course, when it comes to your own age and your aging process, that's weird at a whole new level. So we're going to talk about all of this today and why I've been thinking so much about it lately too. Now, before we get started, I want to make sure you know about the awesome free gift that I have for you on my website. It's called Top 10 Insightful Questions to Reimagine Your Life After 50. It's quick and easy to use little guide that features 10 great questions to really give you something to think about when it comes to what you want and what you don't want to run out of time to do. You know, to shake you up a little bit, the idea is that your answers to these questions will push you to reimagine what's possible for you and how you can think about your life and what you want in your next chapter a little differently and way more intentionally. As you know, when you want to make a change, nothing happens by accident. This free guide will really help you be happier, more confident, and finally find yourself again. Who doesn't want that? So head over to www.susierosenstein.com/10 questions and grab your free download and have fun with it. All right. Did you hear it? That's that funny little sound again. And that's because it's time for another one of Susie's Fun Finds. Now, you may recall that I introduced something new about 10 episodes ago, a new fun little segment actually about fun. As you know, I feel really strongly about introducing more fun, more joy, and more pleasure into the midlife experience, and this is one little wee way to do it. I'm calling it Susie's Fun Finds, and I'll just be sharing something that I'm having fun with these days. I'm hoping that you'll find it inspirational for more ways for you to have fun too, in some way or another. And I can't wait to hear about fun ideas of your own. So today's fun find is, get ready, your old CDs. Do you still have them kicking around? I bet you do. And some cassette tapes too. We have been having a ton of fun listening to them again. And you know what? I don't think it would have happened if our stereo didn't break. Yes, our stereo. The one we've had for about 30 years. We still have the stereo system all set up in the living room where it really is prime listening space. And we have really amazing speakers, and it's an absolute delight to listen to well-recorded music in this space. You may recall I'm pretty much living in a Brady Bunch house, mid-century modern with a slanted roofline and lots of open space, all great for listening. We got rid of the turntable a long time ago, but everything else is in the stereo cabinet to the left of the piano. And then it was the day the music died. The amp broke, stopped working, silence, sadness, and a big question of what to do about it. Replace a stereo system that's 30 years old at our age? It really seemed like we were in the minority these days, still listening to music like this, not streaming, using big speakers, the whole 9 yards. And I think I've mentioned this before, but I have quite a big band and classic jazz collection. Like you might swoon if you like Mel Torme and Frank Sinatra as much as I do. Throw in some Chuck Mangione and Harry Connick Jr., and I am in my happy place. Anyway, it died. Hubby took it to the stereo repair store. No luck. So the research began to figure out what to replace it with. And then the foot bone is connected to the ankle bone, and we had to think about replacing the CD player too. Nothing's ever simple. But nothing was wrong with the CD player. Except, of course, it was also 30 years old. And it turns out that that has a lot to do with things when you start to change one thing with technology and everything. So things have changed, and you can use your apps now. And you can stream with all kinds of things when you make this kind of an upgrade. Apparently, that's what we learned, and that's what hubby told me. So we explored the new secondhand options, and there you have it, CD heaven. All of a sudden, we are so into it, listening to all kinds of old stuff. Even went into the crawl space and found a box of CDs that never got unpacked when we bought this house like 13 or 14 years ago. And it felt like they were in a time capsule in the basement. This is why it's Susie's Fun Find today. It is way more fun than you might even imagine. Memories are flooding back. This music didn't seem that old in my mind, but when you put it all together and dig the stuff out, you can totally see that it is. That the years really have rolled by, documented by technology, compressed sound, and a bunch of music. Makeout music, relaxing music, road trip music, experience music, memory-making music. It has been glorious. And there's been a fun side effect too, interest from the kids. Their music sounds amazing on the stereo system too. And it turned into kind of a super fun family activity, and we were loving it. They were liking listening to our stuff, and we were enjoying sharing our music and listening to their stuff, because I really don't know what's new anymore. I'm stuck several decades ago with my musical tastes and awareness. So there you have it. Susie's Fun Find this week is to enjoy your old music and share it both inside and outside of your headphones. You won't regret it. Now that we're on the topic, let's continue this conversation about time. I'm sure it's not surprising that the passage of time can freak you out a bit at this age, and for oh so many reasons. But the bottom line is that time is relative, and you pretty much get that. It seems to fly by faster and faster the older we get. And that's why I stopped the scroll with a screeching halt the other day when I was scrolling around on Facebook. I saw a simple graphic with this sentiment on it. When you realize that 1970 and 2022 are as far apart as 1970 and 1918, ... I'm just going to need a minute! ! Now, let me tell you, I absolutely needed a minute. Think about it. 1970 and 2022 are as far apart as 1970 and 1918. 52 years one way and 52 years the other way. What? Are you kidding me? How can that even be so? I had to sit there for a minute and get my head around it. Were you surprised by this too? Do you need a minute? Sheesh! But you can really see why time is relative. The time between 1970 and 2022 is full of memories for us. It's our jam. I was born in 1963, and I really started to have memories in the late 60s, but mostly starting in the 70s. I think my first memory is from about 1966 when I was 3. And then I have a couple from 1968 when I was 5, and then gradually more and more. But the 70s, totally. And I bet you remember a fair bit from your formative childhood years too. Your toys, your friends, your vacations, maybe camp, perhaps a hobby, your pets, your favorite TV shows, and of course, you know I'm talking about the Brady Bunch. But there were many more like Happy Days, MASH, Mork and Mindy, The Love Boat, right? Good times. Oh yeah, Good Times was one too. Saturday Night Live started when we were kids. That was such a big deal for sleepovers. And don't forget those sleepovers. How much fun were they? And the music, my first transistor radio, first album, first concert, and first stereo. I remember my first transistor radio when I was about 13. I remember also taking it to one of those lounge chairs, slathering on the baby oil, supposedly sunscreen. What a joke. How horrible. Oh my God. But anyway, I do remember having that transistor when I was laying out, getting the sun. And I remember the first song I listened to on that radio was Seasons in the Sun by Terry Jacks. I absolutely love that song. First album, I got Elton John's Greatest Hits and Three Dog Night's Greatest Hits at the same time. First concert, also about that time, David Bowie, and that was also the first time I smelled pot. And for me, another part of music and memories and all that good stuff was marching band. The 70s are loaded with memories. And, I graduated from high school in 81, so that was really that time. So this idea of thinking back to that period of time, which is part of my life that's loaded with so many memories, it doesn't seem to be a huge amount of time that's gone by because I can access it in my memory. I can relate to it in so many ways. 52 years ago feels somewhat comfortable, right? The way I'm kind of explaining it. But thinking about 1970 to 1918, oh my God, also 52 years, but what can I relate to? What can you relate to? Maybe your parents' and your grandparents' birth dates, maybe some old photographs, maybe some historical dates like things you learned about in school, even inventions. One I related to is my Edison phonograph. It works. I have about 20 beeswax cylinders that still play. And I know when they were recorded, 1905, 1908, those kinds of dates. But other than these kinds of things, it's not a period that's rich in meaning for me. And I'm guessing probably you too. And it seems like a million years ago, let alone 52. And that's how it goes with the passage of time. It's weird because it's relative. And it's also weird because now we're older and it seems like time is flying. Everyone our age and older pretty much agrees. Time goes faster now than it did when we were younger. Plus, we have more urgency around the way we're spending our time because we're aware that we have less of it in front of us than behind us, which is another great reason to, really think about what are you thinking? Are you aware of your thoughts? Because the way you think about time and aging can do a number on you. Remember, those thoughts are creating your emotions too, my friend. Now, if you really want to go down a rabbit hole with this topic, just Google the passage of time, aging in time, perception of time, those kinds of things, and the theories are pretty fascinating. But a common one is that when you're a young kid, 1 year of your life represents a larger percentage of your overall existence. Whereas now, 1 year of your life, for example, represents a much smaller amount of your time alive. And this can really affect perception. You might be thinking, so what? Well, I'm glad you asked. I mentioned it briefly a few minutes ago. This whole topic can feel positive or negative to you, or both at different times, and that is all to be expected. But it can do a number on you. It's super important to be aware of what you're thinking and feeling. The way you think about your age, the passage of time, what it all means to you, will create the way you feel about so many things. Your emotions will affect how you show up and spend your valuable time. Like if you hate what's going on with your age, if you're super down about it, or if you're kind of excited about what you're able to do and you're motivated by other women who are doing amazing things and are older than you, you notice these things and you have to really be aware of it, really think about it. Notice what's going on for you. Your emotions will affect how you show up. Your emotions will affect how you spend your time. And when you're focused on being more intentional in midlife, you want to make sure that you like your reasons for what you're doing and how you're feeling. When you're not aware of what you're thinking and feeling, your actions may not be in alignment with what your goals are because none of it is clear or on purpose. Seeing a meme or a quote on social media can help you focus sometimes because you pause and you react to it. And it's a great time to catch what you're actually thinking, and it may surprise you. So whatever you're feeling, it's always a good idea to check in with yourself and ask if you like your reasons for doing whatever you're doing. Do you like why you're thinking the way you're thinking? Does it make sense with where you're at and what you want? That's one of the ways you become more intentional with your life, and it's a great way to avoid having regrets. So I hope this little walk down memory lane and thinking about time in perspective with you and your age and your life and your stereo system and all of it really helped just raise your awareness to some of it and encourage you to catch those thoughts. It's a very good thing. Okay, that is it for this episode. As you know, my focus as a midlife coach is to help you become the queen of your brain domain. What that means is learning how to get better at catching yourself in the act of thinking and wasting less time spinning and feeling stuck because you figured out what you want and how to get there. This is what regret-proofing your life is all about. Now, if you want to go faster, I can totally help. You really have to join us in the Women in the Middle Academy. It's my 6-month coaching program to teach you how to get the clarity and excitement in your life again that you've been looking for. Don't waste another second feeling stuck. Book your momentum call and we will take it from there. Head over to www.womeninthemiddle.com. For show notes and links, go to www.susierosenstein.com and click on the podcast tab to find the information about this episode. Let's do this, ladies. It's time for you to put yourself first, one thought at a time. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll talk to you next week.